Well, after 4 nights and many different obstacles, the final part of the 4 night crossover has finally come, and the results are as satisfying as possible. Hey guys, remember Legend of Tomorrow, Season 2, Episode 7, Invasion. And I know you guys are like, what? Why are you reviewing Episode 7 when you didn't review Episodes 4, 5, and 6, Kevin? What are you doing? Why are you doing this to us, Kevin? Well, okay, I know, I said that I would, and I will completely agree, and you guys can call me out on this bullshit, because I will call myself out right now. I said straight out that I was going to watch all 3 episodes of Legend of Tomorrow today, and truth be told, I got to the end of the second one. I just didn't have time. As you guys saw, I put up a very, very long movie preview, and that was not easy to edit. It was very, very time consuming, I'm not gonna lie. And it took a long time to finally edit that video, so I didn't really have the time to watch the other 3 episodes, but I will in fact watch them. They're definitely going to get watched before next week's finale, but I figured that, hey, I already know everything that went down in those 3 episodes, so there's not really a point to watch them since I've been watching all the other 3 parts of this crossover. It wouldn't really make sense to do that, so I guess I'll just review the other 3 parts. I know I'm reviewing the show out of order. I've never done this before. This is the first time I've ever reviewed a show out of order, but that's sadly what I'm going to have to do. I know that's unprofessional, but whatever. Either way, guys, it doesn't really matter because I was obviously hyped for this episode. I've really enjoyed this crossover so far. I think they've really utilized all the characters very well, and I was really hoping for a very satisfying end here. And this, to me, this was back to what we wanted from last night. Like I said, last night was more of, an Arrow flashback, not flashback, but an Arrow, celebrating Arrow and showing all the characters and showing how far we come with the show. This was more of the epic finale that I think we were all looking forward to because this episode was pretty damn epic. It had some really great scenes, some really hilarious lines that definitely get talked about, and definitely some great character interactions, and I think definitely the best ending to a crossover we've had so far. Last year's I thought wasn't nearly as strong. I thought it was more of an Arrow episode, and what I liked is that this, while it was Legend of Tomorrow, was not at all a Legend of Tomorrow episode. It was a crossover episode, and they did a really good job with that. But let's just get into this episode because I absolutely loved it. I don't know if it's my favorite part. I honestly can't pick a favorite part because I think they were all so great. But let's just get into this episode because I really did enjoy it overall. So we start off right where we left off last night, where the Wave Rider returns to Central City after dropping Thea off in Star City. Probably because Thea just couldn't handle it anymore after what she went through. I think she just realized this was too much for her, and she's no longer going to be part of this. It was kind of weird the way they just abruptly dropped her, but I get it. She wanted the normal life. She thought that she didn't really need to fight, and I understand that. Again, she didn't really want to be... She wanted to try being Speedy, but I think she just realized that the Dominators were just too much to handle, so she couldn't take them on by herself, so I understand why she had to leave. But everyone discusses what the prisoners went through and how the Dominators are probably targeting at metahumans, and Oliver thinks that they should abduct a Dominator to interrogate, because if they were abducted, they should just abduct a Dominator, and Nate suggests going back to their first attack in 1951 to find one, so we know that's when they were originated, and Cisco offers to come too, excited about time travel, and Felicity volunteers as well, and just right off the bat, off to a great start, definitely really like that. Meanwhile, the new president calls, and I just thought right off the bat this was really off to a great start. Already we had this really great plan that I really didn't think of, and I think perfectly sets up how epic this episode really is. So Oliver then asks to talk to Kara for a second, and it's basically to tell her that he wants to actually step back from everything. That things are too crazy and he needs some normalcy back, and suffice to say, she's definitely not pleased. I mean, obviously, the fact that, she is an alien and she wants to join the fight, he, for some reason, is subduing her, and it's not really like Oliver to do that. But I get why. I think it's probably because he just thought this would be too easy for her, and I think he thought that she just have an advantage, but I think he also knows that, they have the mind control devices, and she could very well be put under the device again, things like that, and he doesn't know what they're building, so I thought it made sense why he wanted her to stay back. I think he's just trying to protect her, really. I know a lot of people got, up on Oliver's business for this and said, why would Oliver do this? But I think it's more that he was really trying to protect her, but either way, on the Wave Rider, Cisco and Felicity are geeking out, overwhelming Nate with their science talk, and I love how Cisco was so pissed at Nate when he was referencing, I believe I don't remember what it was, but it was either like Star Trek or something like that. And Cisco's like, no, you don't do that. I quote the movies because yeah, Cisco does quote the movies, and it shows how similar Cisco and Nate are, but also how not similar they are. Like Nate's definitely smart, but he's not a scientist like Cisco and Felicity. He's just a historian, as we know. So I thought it was definitely funny to see. But Caitlin goes to see Stein, which it was good to see Caitlin back. I like seeing her back here. I was worried that she was only going to be in the Flash part, but no, she was back here, and I definitely really like that because this is the first time we've had Caitlin all across the crossover, like all on all parts of the crossover. We've never seen that before, and I like that here. But she's working at Star Labs, and she has brought Stein's daughter, who has a PhD in nanotechnology, we find out, and Stein covers, but he's clearly uncomfortable. Like, you can tell that he really has no idea what she's talking about, but he's just kind of going along with it for the sake of it, and it's sad to see, definitely. Again, I definitely did feel bad for Stein in this situation, because this isn't really something that he wanted necessarily, but it just kind of happened, and we'll get into that. But the waiver lands in Redmond, Oregon, 1951, along with Nate, Felicity, and Cisco, and they're with Mick and Amaya, which I really did like seeing them again in this episode. Felicity's sick from time travel, which I like that she was actually one to throw up here. She got motion sickness, and Mick orders Cisco to stay on the ship with Felicity, something Cisco is not at all happy about because they want to time travel. They want to be able to time travel and everything, but unfortunately, they don't get to. And again, I liked the way that Cisco got mad at Nate for that. I definitely thought that was funny, but it makes sense. I mean, they don't really have anything that they can help them, fighting-wise, so there's not really much they can do. I mean, Cisco can vibe, but that's not really going to help in this situation, really. But because I don't think that Cisco can vibe the pass. If he can, then cool, but I don't really think he can. But it was kind of... I did kind of suck to see them sit on the outs, but at the same time, it's just a little too... It was a little too overcrowded as, already, so it made sense why they couldn't join in, and I think they gave a good reason why. The only thing I will say about this episode is that it was a bit strange to see Ray in the new Adam costume, just because I'm not used to seeing it. But luckily, I'm on the same team as I'm in the same exact boat as everyone, because this is the first time he actually wore it. While in the last episode, I found out he actually got it from like trash pieces or something like that. Like he found it and made his own Adam suit, which you can definitely tell. It definitely does look like it was made, but they did a good job with that, definitely. But Mick then teases Nate over his steel costume. They find the Dominators fighting soldiers and look for an opening to grab one, because they need to do what they can, of course, to abduct one, to basically get the Dominators. And Cisco's bored because he really has nothing to do and realizes he has to sit out. And I like that they were the ones sit out and not the Legends, just because we're so used to always seeing Legends sit out. It made sense where they were the ones. But Felicity accuses Cisco of wanting to come on the mission to get away from Barry, and that's the only reason why he was there. And it's a really good scene. They used to dream about things like having powers and being heroes, but now that's reality, it's really hard, because they do in fact have powers, and they are in fact heroes, and now it's really hard. And Felicity points out the importance of relying on friends, and I like the way that she's kind of being a mentor towards Cisco. We've always seen this dynamic with Felicity and Barry. What I've liked about this crossover is that they really have turned that on its head. We haven't seen a ton of Felicity and Barry because we've seen enough of Felicity and Barry. We haven't really seen Felicity and Cisco, and I've really liked this dynamic overall. These are two very similar people who I think are in very similar type of situations, and honestly, I think Cisco is a lot more just with things than Felicity. Felicity, I will admit at times, does get a bit much, but Cisco, I get why he's mad at, he's upset at Barry. It's not so much the fact that Barry just let his brother die. It's also the fact that Barry lied to him. Like, Barry didn't just straight up tell him, and yeah, it's a hard situation, but he didn't really listen to him, and I think he just really feels betrayed by Barry right now, and I think it's going to take a while for him to get over that. But I think it was a really nice scene with Felicity talking about how important friends are and how important people like Barry are. I just really liked it overall. Really good stuff there, and I always love those. I will definitely say Felicity's good at giving pep talks, definitely. So I definitely really like that. The fight is over, and the Dominators drag away their prisoners. Mick sees one separate from the other. He and Steel then knock it out, and that was a pretty cool scene. But Stein's daughter tries to work with her father, but he's clearly distracted. And we don't really know why, but she's talking about, again, a memory that he doesn't really have a memory of because it didn't actually happen. This is some memory with her staying up too late and Clarissa telling her to go to bed or something like that. But Caitlin talks to Stein alone, and, because she wants to know what's up, why he's acting like she's not real, and, why he's acting like he just met her, and he admits that his daughter is an aberration, one that he created, and I thought this was very interesting to see, because I thought that it was going to be a result of Flashpoint. That's what I thought was going on here, that this was something that Barry did, and this was an effect we didn't see, but no, apparently this was actually all Stein's fault, and I really did like that. And once they defeat the Dominators, he plans on erasing her from history entirely, which I doubt is going to happen. I already hear she's going to be in future installments, which I like. I like this character, and it's a different kind of dynamic with Stein that we haven't seen before. So I like that he is going to decide to keep around, but we'll have to see where this is going. I really did feel bad for Stein in this situation. I think he does want to connect with his daughter, but at the same time, he's never met her before, and he doesn't really want to start a relationship with someone he's never really had one with to begin with. So it makes sense. So men in suits, including one with glasses, who I guess we're calling glasses, he tranquilizes Nate, Mick, and Amaya. They take them and the captured alien as well, and once again, they go to jail. Cisco and Felicity want to save the others, and they find weapons, and Mick, Amaya, and Nate are then locked in a room. Very sci-fi-ish, which I really enjoyed that overall. Very much reminded me of, like, E.T. or something like that, and the drugs in their systems are preventing Amaya and Nate from using their powers. And that I also thought was very interesting, the way that they can't use their powers from these drugs. And in the same room is a Dominator, and it is not happy. Like, they are treating this Dominator like absolute shit. And you really do see that this Dominator is not at all happy. I honestly did feel bad for the Dominator in this situation, but in Central City 2016, the Green Arrow, the Flash, White Canary, and the Atom wait for the President. Instead, they're surrounded by men in suits with weapons, including the old man that Lila spoke to on the Flash, the one that said, "Trust me, Waller trusted me, so you should trust me as well." He's the same man who captured the Legends, we find out, in 1951. That was really cool the way they did that. Legends doesn't do that a ton, but when they do that, I always find it really cool. Like, for example, when they brought in that character that was related to Carter and Kendra last year, I just think it's really cool when they always do that. But Nate starts to question the Dominator, and the Dominator tries to determine how big a threat metas are. Their captors remove the Dominators from the room, and I thought it was interesting to see the way that they're trying to figure that out, but the Flash stops the guards from shooting them. The group fights until Glasses is the only man in a suit still standing. He calls the aliens xenomorphs and explains that they consider metahumans to be a huge future threat. And I mean, they were really like going hard on these Dominators. Like, they were straight up like trying to get them to feel pain. Like, obviously, they're not trying to kill them. They just want to get them from doing anything, from taking over the world, obviously. Definitely they want to do that. But you're not just going to kill them. Like, that's not the right thing to do. So Cisco and Felicity break in the cell. They free the Legends. They hear the Dominators being tortured, and Nate insists that they save it to show that humans and metas can be good. And I like that. I understand why he wanted to show this, because it doesn't, metahumans can be good, humans can be good. They save the alien who's being experimented on. They give it to the ship that Oliver and the others used to escape in on Arrow, which I thought that was pretty cool to see. And Cisco then stole a transponder from the alien ship so they can communicate with the Dominator. They then return to 2016, and Green Arrow, the Flash, the Atom, and White Canary continue to question Glasses, who knows that the Flash is Barry. And by creating Flashpoint, we find out, which this was very interesting, we find out once again that Barry broke the trace humans have had with the aliens in 1951, and they will leave Earth if Barry is sacrificed. So, Barry is in fact a direct result of the Dominators appearing on Earth, which again is something that he has to feel guilty for. And basically, Barry is willing to sacrifice himself, we find out here, which I thought was very interesting to see. And the direction that this goes is a very unexpected one that I didn't really see, but I think it just makes so much sense why we've never seen aliens anywhere else up till now. Obviously, we've seen them on Supergirl, but up till now, we haven't seen aliens anywhere. And they did a really good job at showing why that is. And of course, that is, once again, because of Barry, which this entire crossover is pretty much revolved around. So on the Wave Rider, they communicate with the same alien, but now in 2016, it tells them that they will be spared for saving its life, but not Barry. So essentially, Barry has to destroy himself in order to get the aliens to leave, which Barry, we know, is entirely okay with doing. Barry always tries to put himself before others, and that's always something that Barry has done. that's why it's so shocking when Barry does things like save his mother, because it's rarely does he really do anything for himself. He does things for his friends most times, and I think it was definitely interesting to see. But the Dominators have a weapon to kill all, and we find out that the weapon that they have been smuggling is actually a weapon, creating, is a weapon that actually is going to kill all metahumans, and millions of regular humans will be killed by it as well. So Sarah wants to make contact, but the Dominator no longer responds to the transponder we see, and I thought it was definitely interesting to see the way that they want to be the ones to kill all the metahumans, because it makes sense why they put the metahumans under their control. But Cisco tells Nate that he can vibe into the ship, but if he misses, they'll be in space. They try it anyway, and they find the Dominator they saved on his ship. They can't convince it to stop, but back on Earth, Cisco realizes he also changed time, and by saving this alien in the past, they increased the threat to Earth, the same mistake that Barry did make, as we know. So this is the big problem with Barry, that, you know, he thought that this would have changed time, but it really didn't do anything. And, you know, that's the thing they don't always think of. And Barry and Legends, they do the same thing. They think of what's going to happen in the moment. They don't really think of the after effects. And that's exactly what Barry did wrong here. There were a lot of after effects. So what he did, as we see. So Stein's daughter loses her temper when she can't figure out the next move. She storms out, and I like this. I like that we saw that, and Caitlin then tells Stein to talk to her. She can't work because she's wondering why Stein is so distant, because, you know, she's used to him being her dad. He's not acting like her dad, and they can't save the world unless he fixes their relationship. So I like that he did catch up to her, and he actually calls her by her name, Lily, we find out, and he apologized. They discuss loving complications. They realize how to move forward in the weapon that they're making, and I like this. I like that right now. It seems that he's going to be a father to Lily. Like, he's going to be there for her. He's going to treat her like she is actually his daughter, and I'm hoping this goes on for a while, because I like seeing Stein have someone else to care for and have a different kind of relation with someone that's not Jax. You know, the key relation with Stein has always been, you know, him and Jax, or him and Ronnie, but I like that this doesn't have to do with him being Firestorm. This is now something completely different. This is, in fact, Lily, and I really do like the direction this is going overall. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there, because that's a story that I'm definitely very intrigued in, and I think it's something that's definitely going to give Stein's character a lot more to do, which I've always really liked Victor Garber on the show. I think he's fantastic. But Barry says goodbyes to the group, and he's ready to sacrifice himself. Like, I thought we were going to have a straight-up, like, Lord of the Rings type thing here, but they're all ready to fight to protect him. Even Cisco, who calls Barry his friend, which, that was such a good scene. Seeing Cisco, you know, being so against Barry and actually saying, "You are my friend." Felicity realized the ships are opening and the metahuman bomb is being lowered. I think that was just a really powerful scene. You know, him talking about how much he's, like, fighting alongside all of them. Again, you can tell that he is legitimately ready to sacrifice himself, and it's just this really powerful thing where you actually don't know if he's going to do it. I didn't think he was going to do it, but again, they do a really good job of making you think, of setting up that suspense of, could he actually end up doing that? So Cisco and White Canary take the Wave Rider. Stein brings a weapon he invented. It needs to be placed on all the Dominators before being activated. And the gang, including Supergirl, gets ready to fight on the roof. And as they fight a group of Dominators, the Flash speeds around, placing the weapons on each one. Again, thinking that he's not going to make it out of this. And Cisco asks if the Wave Rider has a tractor beam. Sarah uses it to grab the bomb. It slows down but does not stop. She calls for Firestorm to help. And during the fight, the Green Arrow's thrown off the roof. Supergirl flies out, catches him, and I like that Supergirl did actually get involved here. Like, again, Oliver didn't want her to, but she did get involved. But then she and the Flash head out to find all the other Dominators and tag them too. Firestorm attempts to transmutate the bomb. Green Arrow gives a signal. Felicity activates the weapon, hurting all the Dominators, and I like that Felicity actually was the one to save them, surprisingly, but such a well-done scene. I think the action here really was just incredible, because you really didn't know what was going to happen here, if the Dominators are going to win or if the humans are going to win. I mean, this is really a big thing, but Jax does not think that they can change the bomb. Stein then begs Jax to try for his daughter Lily, and I like that Stein did this for Lily, but together, Firestorm changed the bomb to water, and around the world, the Dominators retreat to their ships. They leave the Earth, and they've gone away completely. And I love the scene where they think they're just gone there, but Barry says they're gone everywhere. And the way they did this all for Barry, I think really put this crossover full circle. I mean, this really was one continuous story, and that's something I really did love. It's called an arc, and this crossover really had one done really, really well. I mean, with everyone getting mad at Barry, and then ending with everyone, you know, putting that aside and trying to save Barry, I thought was really well done. Because, yeah, in the end, that's what Barry was trying trying to do. It was trying to save some people, and I really loved it in the end. They actually did save him. I really do love the way it was done. But what I also like is that we have 3 minutes left, a significant amount of downtime now. So now we have some time to, you know, deal with the aftermath and deal with what's going on there. And I really do love the way this ended. The new president honors all the heroes in a private ceremony. This is followed by a celebration in the hangar, all like Star Wars when they were all given their medals at the end. But Ray notices that Kara looks like, we get the funniest line that I think we had this entire crossover, where Ray saw Kara and said that she looks like my cousin. I died laughing, because we obviously know that was a Superman reference. Brandon Routh started off in Superman Returns. I don't think he'd be in the show if it wasn't for Superman Returns, and I like the way that they did poke fun at that, because he was a really good Superman. I would have actually liked to see him as Superman in the show, but no, he's not. But I did like that reference, so it was definitely very funny. And I definitely, like I said, burst out laughing. But Oliver apologized to Kara. She tells him that hardship makes them stronger. Cisco then presents Kara with a new invention. Now she can communicate with them and make breaches whenever she needs them, which I thought was interesting to see, we find out. Which, again, that is showing us how the musical episode's going to be, because we know there's going to be a musical episode between The Flash and Supergirl, and I think that perfectly shows how that really is going to be. But Jackson finds Stein. He asks about Lily, and Stein explains he changed the past, and she's the result. He begs Jax not to tell the others. He does not want Lily erased, and I'm sure that's going to be something that is expressed in the finale next week. I'm definitely looking forward to the finale. We'll get into that. But Nate confronts Glasses. Kara joins and says she told him to be present about the DEO, and Kara just like roasts Glasses. Like, I love the way this was done. She says she plans on making this one on her Earth, and that Glasses is being transferred to Antarctica, we find out, because he's terrible at what he does, and they're going to be making a DEO, basically. So I don't really know how that's going to go, if the DEO is going to be as successful as Kara's DEO, but that's something I'm definitely looking forward to getting into. Who's going to be the head of this, especially now that we have, you know, Oliver's thing in Star City. How's the DEO really going to work? We don't really know, but that definitely, I think, is going to be very interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where that's going to go. But Kara says her goodbye. She makes the breach and goes home, and it's a really nice scene where she said goodbye to everyone. Sarah then talks to Oliver about life if they had not gotten on the Gambit. Maybe their fantasy world was a gift, and of course Oliver talks about how they already lived it, and that was in fact a gift for them, to show that they don't really need this normal life, that the life they're in is the best life they can have. Even though their life was normal, they wouldn't have been, think of all the things that Oliver would have missed out on. He wouldn't have had all these great group dynamics. He wouldn't have had all these friends. He'd still be, you know, just this rich playboy, basically, who many people just ridicule, and wouldn't be the mayor, and all these things that he wouldn't have gone to do. And it's just this really great scene between Sarah and Oliver. Again, what I loved is that this was a crossover episode. This wasn't at all your normal Legends episode. In fact, the Legends, I don't really think were the star of it. I think they did a really good job with that. But Diggle then calls Barry one of the best men he knows, and Barry asks if he's going to forgive him. And I love what Diggle says. He says, look, it's the same thing that I always tell Oliver. You need to forgive yourself, and then I can answer that question. Because, yeah, Barry has a lot of forgiving to do. And it's not so much that they need to forgive Barry. Barry has to forgive himself. He needs to understand that, yes, he did fuck up, but it's not entirely it's not the end of the world. He did do something bad, but everyone does something bad once in a while, and I think he needs to just kind of chill about it. So I get why Diggle said that. I definitely agree with what he said, and I really do like the way that turned out. But then we get to the ending, which I absolutely love. Barry and Oliver talk about hanging out when there's not a massive threat. They go out for drinks and discuss how in the Dominators fantasy and in Flashpoint, life was normal but not full. And they like that. They toast to life that is not normal, but always full. And I think that was just a great way to end the crossover. Definitely an epic crossover overall. But let's just get into it. What I loved about the crossover, what I didn't like, and then where I think this is all going to go in the other 4 shows. So, suffice to say, this was a pretty damn epic crossover. I mean, I loved everything about this crossover. I think that this was just really well done overall. They did a really good job of, especially in this episode, making it a crossover episode. Like, this wasn't your typical Legends episode. Yes, we were in the Wave Rider, but that's really the only reason why it was a Legends episode. Other than that, Barry was our main focus here. It wasn't at all on the Legends. I mean, yeah, we had the whole thing with Stein, but he wasn't the main character of this episode. It was definitely definitely Barry who was the main focus, and I really did enjoy that. But let's talk a little bit about where I think we're going to go with some of this. First of all, the Dominators. They already confirmed that the Dominators are, in fact, going to return in Supergirl, actually. They're going to be back in Supergirl. I don't know how they're going to get to Kara's world. I guess they have their ways, because, again, they're aliens, and they seem to have all this technology they can just whip up in, like, 50 seconds, but they'll get there somehow, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that conversation is going to be, and I'm wondering if that's going to be the thing that maybe gets her to get Barry or get Oliver, because now that she can go through portals, I'm thinking we're going to have a lot more, like, mini crossovers. Like, I feel like she's going to call Barry out sometimes. Maybe she'll get Oliver. Definitely, I could see this happening, because it just gives us a bit more of an advantage, and definitely it gives us, a lot more practical of reasons how she's going to be able to cross over, because before, it seemed like, of course, when she was on CBS, it was nearly impossible, but now she's on the CW, I like that they've given her a lot more, ways to cross over, which I definitely did love. And yeah, Kara, I think, was the most underused character in this crossover, but I do think that what she had was pretty great, especially her whole thing with her completely roasting glasses. I absolutely love that. Kara's always been great at that. Melissa Benoist's absolutely killed in that scene, and I also, of course, really loved, her just beating everyone. I definitely really did love that, so really good stuff with her there. I'm interested in seeing where Barry's going to go from here, because Barry really needs to forgive himself, and like I said, I'm hoping that Barry does not end next week's finale with him deciding to go back in time again, because then I'll be really pissed. It'll feel like a complete rehash of what just happened, and it just feel like this entire first half will be pointless. I hope that is not where we're going. I don't think it's where we're going. I just really hope it's not where we're going, because it is not at all the right direction for this show. It's not the direction that they need to be going with this. And please, Barry, we know you love to save your mother, but there's only so many times you can save your mother. Only so many times. And there's only so many variations of the world that we can handle. Like, after a while, it gets a bit too much, definitely. I'm not looking forward to, I hope, if he does that, I'm not looking forward to seeing Barry do that, but I hope that's not the direction we go. I don't know if it is, but I hope that's not the direction we went. I also love this episode did, in fact, have, the whole thing with Oliver and them talking about the Gambit and everything. I definitely really did like that, because, again, the Arrow had their 100th episode, and they did a really good job of just showing how far Oliver's come with him not wanting a normal life. I mean, he's wanted a normal life for a very long time, and I like the fact that he's realizing that him not having it is better overall. I definitely thought that was just a really good ending for the show, and I definitely really did appreciate that. Cisco, I think, kind of forgives Barry, but at the same time, he was trying to get him to not sacrifice himself. I don't think he's fully forgiven Barry, though. I think it's going to take a long time for those two to get back on, good terms with each other. I think Barry wants to, but at the same time, he needs to forgive himself. So we'll have to see where that's going to go, because that definitely is going to be very interesting. I did hear, like I said, Supergirl's really not going to be affected by Flashpoint or anything like that, and she's probably not going to talk about this a ton. I'm assuming at least a mention in the episode in January, but we'll have to see. It is definitely weird to not have Supergirl to January, because I would want one episode to look forward to next week, just like the aftermath, but for some reason they're not doing that. It's the only CW show that's not doing that, well, Jane the Virgin did that as well. I'll review that at some point. Probably this weekend I will catch up on Jane the Virgin. I was very close, and then I didn't get to it, but I will get to it very soon. But Supergirl, like I said, they're not going to be talking about what happened. It was definitely weird that we did have a finale, but I did, in fact, like seeing Supergirl one last time, because in some ways this did feel like the Supergirl finale. It did. I mean, even though it was just Supergirl and not Alex, I don't know why she didn't just call John. Like, again, if she can do portals, then why didn't John come? It just didn't really make sense to me. But if, you're dealing with an alien, John could have easily came. It just didn't really make sense why she didn't recruit John. But either way, I did like seeing Supergirl here. I didn't think she was out of place at all. I thought it worked for the most part. How long is Stein going to be able to keep Lily a secret? We can tell that he wants to be a genuine father to Lily, which I really do like. Is a different side of Stein than we've seen. And it shows, I think, really good character progression, because remember last year how people were saying how insufferable and just how much of a bastard Stein was being and how selfish he was, and now he's doing something just for fulfillment and just so he can raise this daughter and be happy about himself. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that's going to be. I don't know how long he's going to be able to keep her a secret, but that definitely is going to be very interesting. But overall, guys, really, really great crossover overall. I really love the character interactions. I hope we get more Cisco and Felicity, because I really did like those two overall. Especially, just put her in an episode, one of those episodes where she visits Barry, have her work with Cisco, because we really haven't seen that before. But either way, guys, definitely really love this crossover. I think this is, I don't know if this is the best crossover of the ones they've done, but I definitely really did love it overall. I think it was just a lot of fun. It was as good, I think, as one could have been. I will say next year, make it a little less overstuffed. I don't think we needed 4 shows. I think next year we can just do Supergirl, Flash, and Arrow. I'd love to see just those 3 work together. Now that we've done such a super, ultra crossover, make it a little bit more smaller next year, definitely. I know they're going to do one, but just make it a bit smaller. We don't need to go completely big every single year. I know it's go big or go home, but you can go big or go home without actually going bigger. You don't actually have to, have more and more characters, because after a while, this get convoluted. But I will give them the benefit of the doubt that this did not get convoluted ever. Like, I thought this actually was very easy to follow. I was into everything that happened. There really wasn't anything that I thought wasn't unsolved. I think everything was closed very well. They obviously left things open for the shows, but every arc in this did come out, and I definitely really did like the way that was done. But overall, guys, the most you guys saw this crossover, love to your thoughts on it. What was your favorite of the 3? Did you like this ending? Did you think it was a lousy ending? Was it underwhelming to you? What did you guys think overall? But that's my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Scream Queens, and we'll see you guys for that. So, okay, bye.